Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Goetz from GNL. And today on GNL Voice, we have Mr. Larry Fiel of Signature Systems. And just a little background of Larry. He has more than 40 years of experience that has given us a depth of knowledge and in him, a practical experience in our industry. He has 4 degrees. An MBA and a master's in MIS. And not only that, he's a former professor. And that intrigues me a lot too. I would like to have a separate discussion about him on that, because I did some of that too at one time. And I had the pleasure of meeting Larry at the most recent GNL roundtable in Las Vegas this year. And we had some great discussions, and we talked about potential topics for an interview. But I have to admit, Larry, one of the most intriguing things that we talked about was the fact that back in the day, you had the chance to see Iron Butterfly in concert. You saw the full 17-minute rendition of In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida and got to experience the full 3-minute drum solo. That is just, I'm just so jealous knowing that. So
wow. John, one, I am humbled. Thank you so much for the beautiful, the intro. Yeah, Iron Butterfly, that was my first concert. I think it was 1969, I believe, or around there. And I think I was 14, and I kind of I snuck in. It was the Electric Factory in Philadelphia, the old original. And it was incredible. I still remember it. And in fact, I shouldn't really tell you this, but some of my passwords, well, they used to be, they're not anymore because I changed it, mind you, was Iron Butterfly. But if someone asks, how you have to do, what are your 3 questions, your mother's maiden name and your favorite this and that, it used to be one of your favorite concerts, and I put Iron Butterfly because I think what it did, John, it established, I don't know, the future of my music prowess or wanting to be. Look, I saw Hendrix. I mean, I'm that old. Okay. I'm that old.
Didn't know that. That's incredible.
So, yeah, but I think about the degrees and stuff. I think with age comes wisdom, and I'm very wise, which is probably a backhanded compliment to my age, I think. But yeah, but I knew it, at the round table, which is one of the best venues ever. What Jeannie does, and everyone, it's a Herculean task with a bunch of great people who get together. Where else can you get together with titans of the industry and really sit down and have meaningful conversations? And for us to win the Innovation Award for 2022, it touches my heart. I'm very humbled and honored.
Yeah, well, that was it was a great roundtable this year, and we had you and Infor and Agilicis were all the winners, and it was great having you there.
Thank you. And look, and it's well deserved. I mean, Agilicis is a big name in the industry, Infor equally, and we're just proud to be mentioned in the same breath as those 2 great companies. So we are honored.
Yeah. Well, for our listeners and viewers, you've written a lot of great articles for the magazine. And, we're taking a tangent in one of those articles, and we're going to be talking about some of those concepts today, and specifically rethinking online ordering and delivery for in-house dining. Now, a lot of folks, maybe when they hear about this or they think of online ordering, they're thinking, going on your phone and getting Domino's pizza delivered to your home. But that's not really what we're talking about here, is it?
Well, we can, but no. No, it's what happens is this, and I look at this and I think, John, that habits become things that become habits happen over time. And one of the things that the pandemic ushered in was the certain habit of online ordering. It was there before, obviously.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I think that because it sadly the pandemic was years in the making and lasting, and we still have some effects of that, sadly. What it does though, people have habits. And the habit now of I'm picking up my phone here because my phone is now the new front of the house
Yep.
by ordering. And when I look at self-serve and things like that, I really want to use the term guest empowerment, because that's what self-serve really is. It empowers the guest. Now, for the F&B space in a casino, what's the goal you think of a casino? I would guess one of the goals is to keep your players playing, is to keep them on the casino floor,
Mhm.
or at least have them come back to the floor as quickly as possible. Have you ever noticed how many times people are playing and then they have to get up because nature calls and they're hungry and they leave? Well, will they come back? Hopefully, maybe. But the idea to keep them there, and I was thinking about this, John, and I said, online ordering is now a staple. It's a habit. And we think about, like you mentioned, delivery is the pizza guy coming up to your house.
That's all we think about.
Yeah, but haven't we always done quote unquote delivery in a casino? Well, yeah, we always have the servers, like the cocktail servers, bringing you drinks. Well, that's a form of delivery. So it's time to rethink what delivery means. And if we can ensure that guests can remain in place and order and receive food and or beverages, well, that's the secret sauce, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
As I see it.
I've been in gaming for several decades. And I just know way back in the day, I was working with a property in the central US, and we're talking with the GM, and he was getting upset because people were leaving their seats to go home and eat or whatever. And he said, I wish there was a way that we could fix that. And that was in the 90s. So it was already something that people were thinking about. And that cell phone, a smartphone didn't exist back then.
Right,
So there was
right,
nothing
right.
to do.
Now, flash forward 30 years, and we're still thinking about it, but now we have the technology to make it happen. Whereas before maybe we didn't, but now we do. So why not harness the power of that technology to fulfill a dream that was 30 years or so in the making, which kind of makes sense.
And get those players to stay at the machines, because there are people who look for a specific machine and they don't want to leave. So if you can double that revenue, get them to stay at the game and eat at the game.
Yes.
That's
And the best part, John, is the fact that normally solutions are costly. Well, this doesn't really add expenses to your bottom line. Rather, I'll argue it adds income, it adds revenue. Because having someone stay and or if they leave, to get them back as quickly as possible instead of having to stand in the queue, in line. I look at it too as a convenience. Let's say you want to order something and you're with your significant other or a friend or colleague or family or whatever. Well, take your front of the house, and in one order, you can say, oh, I'm going to get this from this location, this from that location, this from that location, done.
Mm-hmm.
And behind the scenes, your POS provider works it all out. We can do that. But meanwhile, it's totally seamless to the user.
Yeah, I was at a concert this weekend in the cities, and not Iron Butterfly, but a band called Trampled by Turtles. I love the name.
Trampled by turtles.
Trampled by Turtles. They're out of
That is a
Duluth.
plotting. It may be a gigantic tortoise, but I've yet to be trampled by a turtle. But I love the marketing of the name because
Yeah, it's a great
memorable.
Yes. And they had QR codes throughout the venue where you could take your phone and scan that QR code, order food and or drinks, and they would bring it to your seat.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, see, there you go. I mean, and when I was beguiled by bison at Yellowstone, I'm just joking, but I thought yeah, because we're okay. So a fact about concert is next week I'll be going to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra because it's the holiday time.
Yes, that's
and in April I'm going to see not the city but the band Chicago.
That's cool.
And I saw Chicago at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. It was in the early 70s, maybe mid 70s. So it's been a long time.
The original.
Yes.
The original Chicago
Transit Authority, Terry Kath and all that stuff. And that's when I had long hair. It went from long to gone. The compost happens, right? So long to gone, you know how it is. And I was thinking about the online ordering process, and I'll call it in-place dining, because in-place dining is really what you want. You want to serve your guests wherever they reside on prem. That could be at a gaming table. It could be at a slot machine. It could be at the spa. It could be at the pool side. It could, wherever. But to have the guest order and have it delivered. Now, granted, you're not going to get a full course meal at slot machine 502.
No.
But there's room for finger food. There's room for a burger. There's room for a quesadilla. There's something, and drinks and such. But it's rather than waiting for someone to come to you, you empower the guests with the ability to order and have it brought to them and be notified that it's coming via text. Whoa, like, isn't that nice?
Yeah, you said a couple of key words there, guest empowerment. I mean, most guests would much rather just be in control of what they're doing instead of having to wait, for someone to come and take your order and then have no idea what time it's going to come or if it will come. So,
case in point, John, when I was at a casino out in Vegas not too long ago, I had food, I ordered. It took a little while, and I'm not complaining because the servers do an incredible job and they are incredibly busy, and we just want to make it easier for them. And what happened was you eat and then you play the dance. And the dance is you're finished eating, and you sit there and you wait, and finally the check will come. And then you get out your credit card and you wait. And then they go back with your card, and then they come back to the table. And that process, and I'm thinking about the process of the dance. And I realize, servers are very, very busy, and it's a very difficult job, and they deserve. Tip your servers wisely, please. Tip them healthy, tip them. And But what happens is if we can make it easier, we can just check out from your phone, a QR code or something, pay the bill, use your loyalty, use your comps, whatever tender, it would free them up to be able to serve other guests. And in turn, the tables would turn over quicker, which means more revenue. And the guests will be happier, which means they're going to post reviews online, which means you're going to get more positive feedback and you're going to get more loyalty. And that in turn creates revenue. So using, harnessing the power of technology is really meaningful and measurable if you want to increase your bottom line. And that's not only revenue, but it's saving time and effort.
Yeah, and short, like you call it the dance, but shortening that dance to something more manageable, because you're right, it does take a long time. And
yes, and the only dance I want to lengthen would be the tango, because it's kind of, but that's a whole nother story for another GNL voice. But so looking at online ordering, and I wanted to mention there are essentially three distinct, say, ordering platforms in online ordering. There's native online ordering, that's through your POS provider, if they offer. There's third-party standalone, and there's the direct integration with an aggregator. And I guess I can talk about all three.
Yeah, why don't you? That would provide some good background. And then because I have a couple of questions on how it could work. So let's go with the first one, where you're
native. So what's native? Obviously, and I'm not talking tribal native, which is really funny because when I was at a convention not too long ago, someone came up to me because I had on our booth, I had this thing that said native integration and native this and native that. So, and this person who came up to me was a Native American and jokingly said, "Oh, thank you for including me." And, we got a nice kick out of that. But it's probably the most cost-effective and brand upholding platform is native, because it's custom designed by your provider for your brand, and it's directly integrated into the point of sale. So basically, it's cost effective because you don't have to deal with a third party. You just deal with your payment, with your provider. But it's built in. It's designed. It's built into the software for your point of sale. So that's probably I would say the best way, but that's not the only way.
So Larry, on that example there, I understand how it works from the casino's perspective. How would that work from the guest's perspective?
Well, and that's a great point. So typically, native or non-native, there's a mobile app. Now, it doesn't even have to be an app. It could actually be something where it could be you bookmark it and you don't have to actually download something, because some people don't want to download another app. I've got another app on my phone.
Yes.
Another thing to manage and updates to the app and this and that. I like to bookmark because bookmark actually saves me space. It's just easier for me instead of going through the process. But basically, so at a casino, so you go on to the casino's app, and then you say, food and beverage or food or whatever, and you click. And there's a list of all the restaurants, all the establishments inside the casino. And you can say, wow, I like this. And you click on that and up comes your pictures of your food and the pricing and all that stuff. And then you pay by either, you say, I'm going to pay by whatever, my card, my ePay, my Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or Google Pay, or better yet, I'm going to use my rewards
Your
money,
points, yes.
my points, my comps. You could even possibly scan a QR code. Let's say you get a voucher. So we'll have a voucher. So you pick up your phone and you scan the voucher, it reads the QR code and is paid. So, that is really convenient. It's fast. And back to that term we're going to use a lot, it's guest empowerment. Now, there is another way. You can not have it natively integrated, and you can use third-party standalone. Have you ever been to a restaurant and you go, there's a section there, which I'll call tablet hell? Because, John, you have a tablet for every third party. So if I'll say Uber Eats tablet, Grubhub tablet, Postmates tablet,
Yep.
whatever, tablet, and these tablets are all over, and the wires in the tablets that you're trying to manage. Does it work? Yeah, it can work. If it's not integrated, for every online order you get, you got to take that order and you got to manually put it into your POS in order to reconcile, because nothing gets made in the kitchen unless it's point of sale. And you could play that and you could do that back and forth, but really? Yeah, no. And there's also something called direct integrator. It's directly integrated with an aggregator. So what's an aggregator? There are a few companies out there. I'll mention two on top of my head. There's one called Chally, there's one called Olo. And basically what they do, they aggregate. So if you sign up, let's say I'll pick Chally or pick XYZ or whatever. If you integrate with them, they integrate in turn with all the others. So basically, if you go with an aggregator, you really need just one tablet for the aggregator because they do it behind the scenes. But better, if your POS provider has direct integration to the aggregator, you don't even need a separate standalone tablet.
Right.
So it all comes into your all-in-one POS, and that way you've eliminated your tablet hell, and you also have the popular platforms. Now, that's in a traditional space because obviously you're not going to have Uber come into your casino.
I was just going to ask you about that because,
You're not.
No.
Sure. So in a casino, obviously, if you have native integration, you're going to have it where a patron, a guest, would go to your site, your app, your website, order food from myriad choices that you may have in your establishment, pay with one tender, not separate tenders. Oh, well, I want this, but my wife wants that, or my husband wants this, or my friend, or my colleague, and then you're checking out 5 times for 5 different people. You check out once, and you pay with loyalty, and then all of a sudden, the runners or the servers or whatever you want to call them that you have will come and drop off your food. Now, that's the part 2. So part 1 is the platform, ordering the food. Part 2 is how does it get fulfilled? The fulfillment process.
Because on part 1, if a casino has 5 different restaurants and you order something from each of those 5 different restaurants, that becomes just this what could be a nightmare of orders to manage and funnel through to get to you at the pool, you and your family at the pool.
It
So
could be a nightmare if the technology behind the scenes.
yes,
Yes,
and that's where you get to part two.
I have to get to part two. So ideally, there'd be something now, I don't want to sell us, even though I could. I want to educate because I'm an educator. We have something called it's like an in-place dining app, because I'm naming it in-place dining, and it's an app. But let's say that the solution would be that this app would enhance, would fulfill the online ordering process. And how would it do that? Well, there has to be something for everyone. So let's say John, you're there and you have your family and you're at the hotel and they're all over the place and you want to order food and have it delivered for, food and beverage. And you do your online ordering. Well, the fulfillment part with this app that the POS provider would furnish natively would do a number of things. For a guest, you're the patron, wouldn't it be great if you can get a text that's saying, hey, your food just left the kitchen, it'll be there in 5 minutes, it'll be there in 10 minutes. Whoa, it'll be there in, whoa, because knowing that you can plan. Let's say you're in your room at the hotel. Let's say that they have a property and you're in your room and you want to return as quickly as possible to the casino floor.
Mm-hmm. And that's the ultimate goal, right?
Yes, clearly. And let's say you do this and you say, gee, I ordered food. When's it coming? I need to take a shower. I need to use their facilities. I need to make a phone call. Well, I don't want to be disturbed. I want to know. Or what if you're playing at a table and you want to know when's the food? Not knowing is really detrimental to the user experience.
And it's distracting. And it
clearly, because you're always saying, when is it? When is it? You're looking at your watch. You're looking at, where is it? I'm hungry. Knowing, even if they tell you, hey, we're busy, it's going to be 10 minutes. Okay. Now I know I can hold out.
Yeah.
I can't hold out indefinitely not knowing, but knowing, great. Yeah. So they'll text you and say, hey, on its way. Oh, that's the Holy Grail. So, and then when you realize it's on its way, that's when you double down and say all in.
Yeah.
And then you'll say, I should have ordered the steak, obviously.
Yes.
But that's another story for yet another GNL voice. It helps also, let's say you're the runner. I'll call it a runner. You can be the server, whatever terminology for the person or people who bring you the food. Well, one, in this app, wouldn't it be nice if there's instructions that say, hey, just drop off if you're in your room, drop off at the door, don't knock. Because maybe you're not dressed properly, maybe something, there's reasons, there's things that you can say. More importantly, the app would say reminders for the runner. If you get food and let's say there's often overlooked items like, I forgot the condiments, I forgot the utensils, I forgot they wanted extra napkins, I don't know. Then you have to go back and get it and come back. And your experience has been diminished because they're lacking what you want. I asked for an extra side of mayo. Now you have to wait. Meanwhile, your food is getting cold, let's say, or, or whatever. So this way, this app would not only have status updates, it would also give reminders to the staff. Make sure John's order has his extra pickles that he wanted,
Yep.
and that makes you a happy camper. And for management, because it's an app, because it's data, wow, imagine the data you would get. We have players playing and they ordered this, they ordered that. All the data of what they order, when they order it, how they want it. Knowledge is power. And in the restaurant industry or the F&B industry, in a casino and elsewhere, empowering management with decisions, real-time decisions where they can know, spoilage and things like that are so important because the margins are very thin. Well, if they know what to order, what guests are ordering, isn't that the holy grail?
Yeah, data in general is the holy grail for management. And one of the things that I've since COVID, I've noticed restaurants, they work a lot. Some restaurants are working differently.
Sure.
And living in the cities, I went to a few restaurants where you're basically ordering on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
There's a runner who brings food. That's
Yes.
all. You
Yes.
never really interact with anyone when you're making the order. And I have found that by doing that, I'm actually ordering more, because in the traditional way, you have the server comes, takes your order, they bring the food, you eat and you go. But you're sitting there talking with your friends and you place your first order, they bring your pizza or whatever. And then 10 minutes later, you say, you know what, I think I'm going to try the appetizer. So you order that on your phone too. And it just keeps accumulating. So the opportunity to order even more.
I am so glad that you mentioned that, John, because we keep statistics, obviously. I mean, every company does. And we have seen what the industry says is an average standard. We have seen that and more. It is about 18% on average increase in tickets from online ordering. And that's like, well, why? Well, there's a number of reasons, but how about this? In a traditional space where you go up and you get a menu, I've seen menus and they're pretty good. How many pictures are on a menu, like of food?
Very few, if any.
Very few. It's text. Does that make you salivate? No. But if I see a picture of something, whoa, that looks, especially high margin items,
yes.
That dessert looks insane. The high margin items you have with pictures to make it look really good. Then what an online ordering app does or platform does, it's an automatic upsell. Rather than, how can a static menu upsell?
You can't.
You can't.
You just can't.
You can't. So an online ordering menu not only has pictures, it's visual, it's enticing, and we're humans, we're eyes, and then we sort of, you eat with your eyes. Well, that's what they say. Well, there you go. Not only that, but it automatically upsells. Well, hey, and then you can highlight your specials. You can highlight things that you want. There's a psychology of menu design, menu development, enhancement, all that stuff that we could help with too. But the tickets are higher. Now that we've established this 18%, there's a secret to get up to 30% more.
Okay. You got to fill us in on that one, Terry.
Larry,
is it Terry?
There's nothing to do with Iron Butterfly. But I can make it somehow. Well, no. Okay. But kiosks, guest empowerment, self-service kiosks are now being placed all over the casino floor for a number of reasons. Number one, I would say, well, for convenience, obviously, for the things that I mentioned, it's pictures, it's empowerment, it's automatic upsell, it's programmed to get people to buy more. But we have seen, statistically speaking, and the industry would agree, it's about a 30% increase. Wow. And, it's kind of funny when you think about it, because I was in line the other day at an establishment, going to eat something. And I'm in line and I'm looking at the menu board. Well, the last thing I want to do, because I'm a nice guy, is to hold up the line behind me when there's a queue of people waiting. I think let's maybe you go with what you normally get. Same thing. I'll have this, an experiment, and try something new. I think I'll add on it. It's just you want to get in and get out.
Get out. Yep. I do that all the time.
Yeah. But at a kiosk, it's like, especially those, they also come with AI enabled artificial intelligence. They come with like little cameras that they could see and they could recognize facial recognition. John, welcome back. We're going to try something new today because they know what you've ordered. I mean, this is data. This is big data. And they can say, well, gee, why don't we try this today? Or why don't we upsell or upsize, this or that? Hey, we're having a special on that. The programmatically, the programmatic process to ordering is only really limited by your imagination and the ability of your provider. But so therefore, you could sort of use that not only for food and beverage, obviously, but for concert tickets or for what if there's a buffet and you say, gee, they usually sell out. I want to come to the buffet at a certain time. You get a ticket for 2:00. I scored tickets for the buffet.
Yeah.
There's all these things you can do with a self-serve kiosk, especially those that have an abundance of tenders. You can still do cash because there are some like an ATM. But more importantly, you can do card, you can do e-wallet, you can do voucher, you can do QR code, so many ways to pay for your order. And that has shown to be 30%. So online ordering at 18 on average, kiosks at 30. I mean, I guess I have a question. Why wouldn't
not?
you?
Yeah. It's gotten to the point now. I even hate using my credit card. I like being able to just tap my phone on whatever that device is and then click a button, done,
It's kind of interesting here in Philly, in the Philadelphia area, we have a company called Wawa. It's like a Sheetz or a 7-Eleven.
Yes, I've heard. Yep. Okay.
Convenience store.
Yep.
And what they adopted kiosks for ordering a long time ago. And I'm like, wow, is this going to work? And then I realize I'm watching the people. Is there a small learning curve? Absolutely. And in the beginning, I would say maybe you have a greeter or someone who stands by the kiosk and says, hey, I could help you, especially if someone is technologically challenged. But I watch my 91-year-old mother, and she's ordering and this and that and all that. So, it can be done. It's not just for the millennials, although it's really for them.
Yeah.
And Gen X and Z and Y. But I'm a boomer, and I use it all the time.
So do I. Yep.
Why wouldn't I? Because who doesn't want to be empowered?
And that's, you've been going back to guest empowerment and just empowerment in general. I was at this would be Sam's Club. I get Sam's Club and Costco mixed up all the time now.
Sure. Yeah.
But Sam's Club has, I go to their app, and while I'm shopping, I can scan the barcode and it registers what I'm having or what I've purchased, what's in my cart.
I do that at Whole Foods.
And I don't have to go through
Amazon Fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to go through the line. I just
No.
I put more stuff in my cart, knowing that.
Well, I put a lot more in. And what's funny too, it's another way of doing it. It's like marketing. Marketing is you cast a wide net. Well, with offering technology, and you still have the tried and true. If people say, I don't like technology, I want to talk to someone, well, you have that too.
Mm-hmm.
What it does, what I like about a kiosk, well, there are a number of things. It never calls in sick.
No, it doesn't.
It does not have to be paid overtime. It never has a bad hair day. It never forgets to upsell. But if you still want the personal service, you still can have the personal service. It's just you're offering something. And I think it shows an establishment. It shows that we're technology savvy and we know what our guests want. When guests are happy, usually they don't really do anything. They sit on their hands, but when they're unhappy, it goes viral.
Yes. Yep.
So if you can prevent things from going, but hey, I went to this casino and I had to wait and I had to do this, I had to dance or whatever, and I'm not a dancer, that kind of thing. So, but you know what? I also think that from a practical standpoint, John, placing orders on a personal device, you know what I like about that too? It eliminates language barriers when speaking. English may not be someone's first language. And because we're a beautiful, wonderful melting pot, we have the ability now to say, hey, I feel I don't really know the language that well, but I'm hungry and I came here. So it eliminates that. It eliminates hearing issues. You're trying to speak, maybe someone is here, especially when we wore masks, remember, with COVID, and who knows, you're trying to order. It sounds like you're ordering at a drive-in. So it does that. It also reduces the in-person queue for entering a restaurant. We have to wait, and oh my goodness, that line's going to take me 20 minutes or whatever. It eliminates the need for you to touch publicly handed hard copy menus if there is a pandemic or pandemic-like situation. And it allows for seamless and contactless payments, and everything nowadays should be seamless and contactless.
Yeah, you don't need to be some of that personal involvement. You don't need, it always adds, but you don't need some of that. And going back to the kiosks, I remember when some of the hotels first started using kiosks back in the late 90s, it really didn't work. More often than not, they had a little sticky on that says out of order. And
wow.
But
it's like your website, under development.
Yes. Yeah.
Coming soon. What?
Yeah. People would just look at that and walk away. But my last trip to Las Vegas, looking at the way things have changed, the line at the front desk was relatively minimal, but they had probably 12 kiosks out there, and everyone was in front of that kiosk.
Everyone. No one wants to stand in line.
Yep.
You're standing in line only if there's a problem that can't be solved otherwise, and you have to wait. It's not a fun experience.
No.
And now everything is about the experience and guest empowerment. And I think that's what's going to elevate a casino to get to the next level. And because now word of mouth is everything, unhappy, it goes viral, it goes online. And I think if a casino doesn't, well, I think their competitors will.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
So, I mean, they're innovators, they're people who are visionaries, who are sort of ahead of the curve. But I think this technology is so mainstream now that there really is no reason not to adopt it and adopt it well. Now, doing that requires I would say, a partnership with your POS provider who could do this for you and do all the heavy lifting. Because if you're going to rely on your internal teams to do it and all that stuff, I mean, there's a lot happening. So I think the partnership is key, making sure that your provider or the provider can actually do what's necessary. I think the true measure of a business, of a provider, it's not necessarily when things are working, because you expect them to work, you're
Yeah.
paying for it to work, but because it is technology, hardware and software, and compost happens, for lack of a better term. It's how it's handled, how they react when there's help needed and trying to fix things and resolve things. And if you could trust your partner to do that, it's going to be a very happy, healthy marriage.
Yeah. I mean, in 20 years of the GNL Roundtable, one of the common themes I think I've heard almost every year is the executives who attend there. And you were there this year, so you saw the community aspect of it, and then the executives, and then asking things back and forth. And one of the common themes almost every year was the executives don't necessarily want vendors, they want partners. And that I think is what everyone is looking for.
I am elated beyond belief that you mentioned this, John, because you obviously get it. You get it. It's the voice of the customer. You have to listen to the voice of the customer. Anyone can be a vendor.
Yep.
I'm hawking, I'm selling this, I'm selling that. Okay, after the sale, well, have a nice day.
Yeah.
Call this number, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, because that's when things always break, right?
Yes. Yep.
Things always break 9 to 5. Right?
Never
nights or
outside.
weekends or holidays. No, never. So having someone who's a partner to tell them and say, hey, look, it's like the president and his cabinet. You have advisors who know specifically really well what they know. Well, your provider, your partner, should know exactly what you need to get to the next level, how you need it, how it's supposed to be implemented and supported, and then advise you and say, well, this is a trend, and here's what can be meaningful and measurable to your bottom line, and tell you and work with you. And then more importantly, say, well, look, I realize it's not an off-the-shelf thing. It's a custom, because everybody's unique in their operation. And if they're willing to do the customization to make it work for you, it's like, okay, you're a manager of people in your department. There's no book that you can get off the shelf that says, this is how you manage people, turn to page 12.
No.
You have to know the psyche of each individual. What motivates John may not motivate Larry. Some people are motivated by responsibility. Some just want the money. Some want this or that. But knowing that is important. So technology is really not an off-the-shelf thing. It's a thing that can be customized to make it work for your unique, diverse needs. And that's what makes it important. And I think that's what owner operators want. I mean, looking, at the round table, all the executives, this is what they want. They want the experts in that field, in our field, to tell them what and work with them and listen. Listen. And there's a difference between hearing and listening.
No, definitely. Yep.
People say, "Oh, I hear you." Well,
No,
yeah,
you,
I hear too. I hear all kinds of din, but am I listening to you? And there's a difference. So I
yeah.
think and that gets into my professor type stuff, which you wanted to talk about. Okay, fine, we'll talk. But yeah, I like to teach. It is really touching the future, like the late Krista McAuliffe said of, sadly,
Yeah.
but she was spot on. You touch the future, you teach. And I think that, teaching marketing is really, it's ask, learn, inquire, participate, join, but not buy. Buy is sales. Marketing is more of the sizzle, not the steak. So if I say, "John, I'm having a backyard barbecue," and you come onto my deck out back and you smell that aroma, listen to the sizzle. There could be a boot inside my grill. I don't care. I'm not selling it.
Yeah.
I got you interested.
Yeah.
So, but I like to educate because I think an educated consumer is probably your best customer.
So, we've been talking about a lot of things and our time is about up. So if you had to say 3 things that you wanted our listeners to take away from our chat today, what would those be, Larry?
Be afraid, be very afraid. No. Socks first and shoes. No. 3 things. 1, I would say jump. And by that, I mean the pool will be full. If you take risks, you'll get rewarded. And I'm not saying that it's risky with kiosk and online ordering, but in general, being educated and then saying, "Hey, I want to be innovative. I want to be perceived as a thought leader. I want to be perceived." It does require some element of risk. And I would say if you have the right partner in place, I would jump because you will be rewarded. Number 2 would probably be listen to the voice of the customer. In this case, the customer is the end user, it's their consumers, and realize that one size does not fit all, that there are people who are used to and expect the same technology that they use off-prem, on-prem. So harness the power of technology for your guests and empower them with the ability to do what they already do. And number 3 is probably more philosophical. It's judge people by the content of their character.
I like that. Larry.
Yeah, we're a very diverse community and we champion our diversity. And I think it all comes down to who we are at our core.
It does.
And if we judge people by the content of our character, I think we'll all live well and prosper or live long and prosper. Was that Scott thing?
Yeah, we'll live long and prosper.
Yeah, right. But I think those are my 3 things that I will leave you with.
So if anyone wanted to, if any of our listeners or viewers wanted to get a hold of you to talk to you about our chat, how would they do that?
I would be honored. I will never say no. because that's who I am. You don't have to be our client. You may not even be looking for point of sale solutions. You just may want to pick my brain about marketing or English, because I was an English professor, marketing professor, and all that. And I know technology. Yeah, that's because I'm old. But why don't you reach out to me? You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me at larry.fiel@pdqpos.com. PDQ meaning pretty darn quick. You like that, huh?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Or you could give me a call here at the office, which our number is 877-968-6430. I'm at extension 189. You can call, you can text, you can email, you could get a string and a Dixie cup all the way from
From Las Vegas.
Wisconsin, all the way from Wisconsin, and I'll hear you and I will listen. Yeah, please. I'd be more than happy to educate, help, talk, validate your processes and your thoughts. But more importantly, I'd be happy to listen.
Okay. Larry, it has been great talking with you. I've enjoyed the conversation and learned a lot. And, I would, let's talk about having another interview here and the chat. I would love that.
I am free in another hour, so we can have, but no, John, the pleasure is mine. I just truly want to say thank you to the entire G&L team. I know there are people behind the scenes, people in front of the scenes. Obviously, Jeannie, whom I treasure. Allison, you. There are so many others. If I did mention, my apologies. It takes a village. Thank you for what you do. It matters to the community. It's very important. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And every time you put on Inagata Davida, you can think of me.
I do. I will. Take care, Larry. It's been great talking to you.
Have a very wonderful, safe holiday season.
You too.
Have a wonderful new year, and we will talk soon, my friend.
We will. Talk to you later, Larry. Bye.
Cheers.